You, you put someone straight on the spot, straight up. Give me your top five. And they didn't think about it. There's going to be, we always do this, right? Your top five right off the top of your head, then you start thinking about it, you change up. So you get an updated list on his Instagram. And he kept the top three the same, which was Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and him. But he moved Josh Allen to 4 and Prescott to 5 and omitted Hurts. He said that he feels Joe Burrow is among the top 5 quarterbacks, but he missed nearly half of last season, which is why he was left off the list. I don't know why we care so much.
I think it's a great list, actually. I think for CJ Stroud, just kind of boom, off the top of his head, thinking about the NFL last year, who played well. I don't think it's crazy to have CJ Stroud in the conversation as a top 5 quarterback for last season, because he was the reason Houston was that successful.
The only guy I would argue that's not on the list, well, there's a few. I mean, you could argue Jared Goff and Jordan Love. Brock Purdy. But Brock Purdy's never on anybody's list, right? He's just not. I mean, who do you have? You have Josh Allen 4, and who was 5? Dak?
I would have Brock Purdy over
Dak
Prescott, even because
but Dak's
it's the
numbers
postseason.
were crazy, right?
Yeah, they were. He was the third leading passer in the NFL, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. But are we talking about just what a quarterback did in the regular season, or is it you're going to give him some weight for the postseason? Everyone looks at these things differently, but I actually think that's like a really good answer, just kind of sitting there thinking about it, boom. And it's not crazy to say CJ Stroud, who, by the way, was the 8th leading passer overall in the NFL, had 23 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions on a team that no one thought was going to be any good yet. He had a top 5 season.
So he has to be in the conversation for a top 5 season. And there's probably 8 or 9 guys that are in that conversation, right? The 5 he named, Mahomes, Lamar, him, Josh Allen, and Dak. I don't know that I would put Jalen Hurts even in that conversation last year, to be honest with you. And
Not
then,
last year.
And then the other ones would be Goff, and dare I say, Love, and Brock Purdy. Do I miss anybody here?
I would put Jordan Love down just a little bit
because his first half wasn't that good? Okay, fair. So Goff and Purdy?
So Goff and Purdy.
And I'm going to give you a sneaky
Purdy
one
good.
that everybody's going to scoff at, which is fine. And he would be at the bottom of this 8-person list. Baker Mayfield had a pretty good season. Baker Mayfield gets no love. Baker Mayfield had a pretty good season and led his team to a division championship. Like Baker Mayfield's numbers were good. Baker Mayfield's play was good. Baker Mayfield as a leader and a teammate was good. Baker Mayfield's not going to get anybody's love because he's kind of expired that the shine's off of Baker. And I think Tampa's fine with that. If they can get that Baker Mayfield they got last year for 3, 4, 5 more seasons, they'd be thrilled, don't you think? But nobody else. I mean, it was a good list right off the top.
Yeah, and this right now, and that's without even factoring in like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or second year of Anthony Richardson, or if Will Levis pops. There's 16 quarterbacks. I'm like legit, like that's a really good quarterback in this league right now.
Just 16? That means what, 14 or 16
and then
teams
you
don't
have
it?
the
16.
No, that's not what I said. I'm like 16 quarterbacks that you're like I'm feeling good.
But 16, then you're not sure.
And then you're
about.
like, all right, then you have Anthony Richardson, Caleb Williams, Daniels, Will Levis, like guys you're excited about.
I think so those teams are really interesting because I think New England's got one of those guys that Drake May's got to be on that list because you just don't, right? Where do you put Pittsburgh in the quarterback?
Not on that list.
Not on that list at all. All right. Indianapolis is on that list. Tennessee's on that list. Is Denver on that list?
No.
You don't think so with Bo Nix?
I think they could. I'd put them towards the backside. So, but what then you're saying you're into 22, 23 teams where I think there's a positive trajectory.
I'm going to go the other side. Then how many teams are just going, like, secretly in their front office are just going, man, what are we going to do?
And then Minnesota would be on that list, so it's like 24.
Yeah. Are there any teams right now that just
And I didn't even mention Deshaun Watson, so I don't put him on that list.
because
Just hoping. I would say teams that you're just kind of like, oof, the Giants.
so
They seem to
you
be
think
lukewarm on Daniel
secretly
Jones.
they're like, man, Daniel Jones, we made a mistake. He's not.
I don't think they. No, I can't say. It's easy to say after the dude tears his knee up.
Well, that's right.
I think it's different if he didn't tear his knee up.
But he did, and here we are.
That's sports. So you can't say you
Right.
made a mistake after someone gets hurt.
Okay. And he met, by the way, if we're expecting Rodgers and Cousins, who are way, way, way older than Daniel Jones, to come back after Achilles, why wouldn't we expect? Now, granted, both those guys were better than Daniel Jones before their injuries, but why would we not expect Daniel Jones to be able to come back from a knee injury? Everybody else comes back from a knee injury. Like, if you thought Daniel Jones was a decent quarterback before the injury, then you should think Daniel Jones is a decent quarterback now.
I'm not like that is definitely one where I'm holding. Like I understand based on what was available, where they were picking that they didn't feel all in on Penix, McCarthy, or Nix.
Yeah.
As opposed to adding a legit potential number one wide receiver to that team with Daniel Jones.
Okay.
But the noise of the offseason has been some hesitation. They would open and taking a quarterback, all those things, and from the Giants. But I think the Giants would be there. The
Who'd
Raiders.
they take? Did they take Romo Dunze?
Who?
The Giants.
Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors. At 6, they took Malik.
We would like to
the
thank
Raiders
the
are in the
following
bottom.
sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
And yeah, the Gardner Minshew get is the ultimate get.
That's the
get
place
by
where
guy.
you're just going, what are we doing at quarterback, right? Them and then I think Seattle after this year is going, okay.
Panthers are hoping something can happen.
Do you think in the
Bryce Young.
front office they're just going, oh,
Well, yeah, especially when you see what CJ Stroud did. Like that, you're never gonna live that down. Would CJ Stroud have been that guy in Carolina? No. But would he have looked better than Bryce Young? Probably.
yeah, if you flip those
Like,
two, would
yeah.
Bryce Young have looked as good in Houston where he had way more weapons? I
Think Bryce Young would have looked a little bit better. I don't think he has the high the ceiling as CJ Stroud, but this
Bryce
still a
Young-
team game.
Bryce Young looked lost to me. He looked small. He looked, it's
It's like when your mom is like, your little brother has to play with you.
yeah. No, honestly, he just looked like, how is that guy the number 1 overall pick? And how is he going to, when I watched him, in my mind, it's like, how is that going to translate at this level? Right? I understand all the pre-draft stuff, and there's been smaller quarterbacks. He looked like the smallest quarterback I've ever seen in the NFL.
I don't think we can really say there's been smaller quarterbacks.
There's been shorter quarterbacks. Drew Brees was a shorter quarterback. You can go all the way back to Pat Hayden, and how tall is
Who?
all the way back to Pat Hayden, like all the way back.
Who was I did never.
Pat
heard
Hayden
that
was a
name.
Ram quarterback who was fine. But that's way back. But there's been shorter quarterbacks. Not, the most quarterbacks are above 6 feet tall. Drew Brees was a shorter quarterback. This is a small. There's a difference, right, between just being short and being small. Doesn't he look just small to you? Like stature-wise. That's where I was looking at it and just I don't know how this translates. Yeah, you're going way back to Pat. You found some Pat Hayden
Well,
stuff.
it's even like Drew Brees. Like you could get by that dude with cleats on. Like you can give him a 6 feet. Like Bryce Young's listed at 5'10".
Okay. Like where you go? Well, some of the shorter quarterbacks that you have, right? I'm trying to think off the top of my head who were the
And I
short.
think the difference too is what one of the things you mentioned is also stature. Like Russell
Yes.
Wilson doesn't look small. He's listed at 5'11", but he doesn't have that appearance. The way he plays doesn't look like he's too small. In football.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I look at it, Fran Tarkenton was 6 feet, Drew Brees was 6 feet, Russell Wilson's 5'11", Sonny Jurgensen 5'11", Lenny Dawson was only 6 feet, Theismann was 6 feet, Michael Vick 6 feet, Doug Flutie 5'10". How tall's Kyler Murray? Because Kyler Murray feels 5'11", 5'10", but doesn't feel small. Does that make sense? Stature-wise?
He's listed at 5'10".
Yeah.
But he's just a bigger dude, and like that kind of presence and feeling on a football field, it also makes it. That's one of the things too when you're looking at Bryce Young. Like, is he going to hold up because he's going to take hits, continue to take hits as quarterback?
All right, there's a tight end retirement in the NFL. He was one of the best for a quick minute. Looks like he's about done. He was considered, wasn't he not? Considered one of the best tight ends for a quick minute. Retiring, what does that mean for that team? And more from you. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610 Sports Center.
Telling it like.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman!
Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach. My teacher. My older sisters. My grandma. My brother. My tutor. My dad and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
I'm going out, Grandma.
When are you coming home?
I'll be home late. Don't wait up, okay?
Be careful, mijito.
Love you, Grandma.
Mijito, he's a good man. Sometimes he just makes bad decisions. I tell him, mijito, cuidado, be careful. You might hurt someone. He doesn't listen.
Until you stop, okay?
Hello.
It's me.
Hi, mijo, where are you?
Miguel was drinking and driving. I need you to come and get me, okay? Please, Grandma? Can you just come and get me? Grandma?
Leave him in jail.
Years old since so young, man, and he's been through a whole lot. But the Giants been operating throughout the offseason as if he'd retire. So they added a tight end in free agency. They drafted Theo Johnson from Penn State in the 4th round. So they've been acting that way.
We would like
he
to
was
thank
pretty
the
good when
following
he was good. It
sponsors
was a
for
short,
making this
really
broadcast
good, but it was pretty good.
Definitely a flash in the pan for Darren Waller, and then he suffered injuries and could never get back on the field. And for Waller, it's been all the stories about his relationship and off the field and going back and forth with Kelsey Plum and the weird music video that Darren Waller put out to describe the end of his relationship. And now if you're the Giants, you're just like, all right, thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, the Giants feel to me like they keep trying and I can't blame them for not trying. They paid their quarterback. They went out and get players. They seem stuck in quicksand to me because they were good. I thought defensively they were all right. I look at what they have. They keep trying. They're going to replace Saquon Barkley with Devin Singletary and Eric Gray. They went out and drafted. I give them credit for getting Malik Neighbors because now Daniel Jones has a legitimate number one. He has it. Who's been the best receiver he's had the whole time he's been?
Saquon Barkley.
Which is his running back who was hurt as much as he's been hurt. The quarterback. So they're Darius Slayton, Wendell Robinson. They got Allen Robinson there. Jalen Hyatt. So I give them credit for going out and finding a guy. This feels like a huge year for them, doesn't it?
Yes. I don't think Brian Dable is close to being on the hot seat. I still think there's...
Hot seats warm up quick, don't they?
They do. But I think, you could also... You take that view with like half the NFL. If it's a huge year and coach 2 or 3 years in and maybe not quite hitting on the quarterback position. Arizona and the Giants are really interesting teams. Because I kind of feel like about the Giants the way you feel about the Cardinals.
Do you?
And both those teams pegged at 6.5. And the win totals for the season.
Okay. I like Arizona because I like what they did defensively. I think I got a little bit more faith in Kyler Murray coming back than Daniel Jones.
He was able to get some of that rust off last year.
Right. I love Marvin Harrison, although why wouldn't you love Malik Neighbors? I think James Conner's a terrific back. I love the momentum they had at the end of last year. It feels like they can build on something where I just don't know what the Giants were or are. And I know they were playing without a quarterback last year. I mean, Tommy DeVito was signing autographs at the local pizza place, right? And didn't show up.
I think that the Giants defense has a higher ceiling. The Cardinals played close games, but the Cardinals also gave up the second most points in the NFL last year.
They gave up a lot.
Now, the Giants weren't far behind, but still, they're teams that's like, all right, you're trying to think outside the box, and these are definitely outside the box teams. I'm with you on Kyler Murray. Like, I think, all right, there's upside there, but to what we discussed, Daniel Jones coming off the knee, if you can show some of that athleticism still, like Brian Dable is a guy that you believe can build an offense. Like, he got that job because he turned Josh Allen from just this guy to rocket arm into a guy that's completing 60% plus in the NFL, which is what you need to be at. And he wasn't near that at Wyoming.
Who's the second worst team in the NFC?
Second worst team.
I mean, Carolina's number one, right? Yeah. So who do you have after Carolina? Who you have the least amount of faith in the NFC? Because, and it might be it's not New Orleans. I mean, it's might be the Giants to me.
I think the second worst team, and it's not because I don't think that they have a high ceiling. I think it's going to be someone with a rookie quarterback. I think it's going to be like Washington, Minnesota.
Minnesota's hard for me not to believe in because I don't think they're that drastically different than they were 2 seasons ago when they were the 2 seed in the NFC and they won a lot of close games.
Kirk Cousins is not J.J. McCarthy.
Okay, no, I understand. So it's the quarterback thing, right? That's the issue.
Like what C.J. Stroud did last year is like once in a decade.
I don't expect that out of J.J. McCarthy, and I'm not even certain he's going to be their opening day starter, to be honest with you.
So if it's Sam Darnold,
are you sure?
If they win games early, do they go to McCarthy?
Well, maybe, right? I mean, the flow is. I mean, it's flow. First of all, who do you think is going to be their opening day starter?
I just assumed it would be J.J. McCarthy.
Do you think it's a given? I'm not sure I do, because everybody seems to love Sam Darnold.
Because if you love Sam Darnold,
then why draft him?
Yeah.
Everybody seems to love Sam Darnold. I don't know why.
I do think there's an element of that. Because if they were flirting with trading Justin Jefferson, by the way, they just paid, so I don't know how much truth there was to that at this point in time, but maybe moving to get a Malik Neighbors using a Justin Jefferson, then not even drafting a quarterback.
Right.
You're saying
but they
were
did.
comfortable with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, but they did. And Sam Darnold wasn't going to be your long-term answer. I look at their weapons, dude. I think Aaron Jones has at least 2 years left in him. They've got one great and one really good receiver. Don't you think Jordan Addison's really good? Right? They've got a terrific tight end in Hawkinson, a decent defense. It's hard for me to put them as maybe the second worst team in the NFC. I struggle with the Giants.
I think the biggest thing is quarterback.
Yeah.
Like if
No,
Sam,
you're right. You're right.
And should you feel better about Sam Darnold starting versus J.J. McCarthy?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Everybody loves Sam Darnold, but when was the last time you saw the dude play?
I don't know who loves him that much anymore.
Well, the Niners seem to. They
as a backup.
I know. And then Kevin O'Connell brought him in, and he was going to be their guy if they didn't get a quarterback. Yeah, you're right. McCarthy's going to play the majority of the season. I just don't know if it's going to be opening. If he wins the job coming out of camp. But I look at their roster. I think they're constructed pretty well. I wonder about Seattle too. I like Seattle's weapons. I just wonder how much Geno's left. How much of that Geno Smith magic.
And that's another very interesting one where they went after Sam Howell.
Yeah. Is he their guy of the future? Like, they may love him. And look, Sam Howell's shown some flashes too. There's been moments where, wow, he throws a lot of interceptions, a lot of touchdowns.
What last year Washington was pretty much just like YOLO.
Joe,
like,
just go chuck it.
Yeah.
Just go chuck it. I agree. All right, 505-246-0610. We'll wrap it up when we come back. Everything you got to know as you go through your first Monday of June, the big headlines this morning and what people are going to be talking about. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610 Sports Hour.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
What's going on? Who are you guys? Well, sir, I'm going to pick you up at the DWI checkpoint for drunk driving.
And that's when I have to come down to get you out of jail.
Well, temporarily. I'm Judge Torres.
They call him the Hammer. Hey, hot off the presses, champ.
I'm real proud of you, honey.
Way to make him happy back home, Captain.
Who's that?
That's your new buddy in jail.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
Burglary takes place in the United States.
All right, going through a Monday, the first Monday of June. What's everybody going to be talking about? Well, people are going to be talking about because they are. Whether they watch the WNBA or not, they saw the highlight or low light of Caitlin Clark getting, shoulder checked. Is that a fair word? By Kennedy Carter?
She got checked.
She got checked. It was a hockey check. It was with no boards. And so everybody's talking about, is it cheap? Is it right? And the WNBA upgraded it to a flagrant one afterwards, but I haven't seen anything else come from it. And what will the WNBA? But everybody's got a thought on it. What will people be talking about today? Justin Jefferson getting his historic deal in the National Football League, the Vikings wide receiver. 4 years, $140 million. That would be with $88.7 million at signing, $110 million guaranteed. That is the biggest, the most money ever for a non-quarterback in the National Football League history. United lose over the weekend 1-0 at Monterey Bay. They are still at the top of the table, first place in USL West. They will be home for Hartford on Saturday. Isotopes will hit the road tomorrow. They'll be in Sacramento. They lost 5 out of 6 at home last weekend to Oklahoma City. And the Duke City Gladiators they get their first win of the year. 21-20, they win in Tucson over the weekend. 505-246-0610. Oh, and this is something to watch because there's a New Mexican who is a hell of a player for LSU baseball. Stephen Milam from Las Cruces Centennial High School hit 2 solo home runs yesterday, including the game winner in the bottom of the ninth. LSU beat Wofford in the Super Regional in college baseball's postseason. 505-246-0610. That's how to get here. 505-246-0610. Emails Jeff at sportsanimалabq.com and JJ at sportsanimалabq.com. So tonight I get no hockey and no hoops, right? It's kind of weird. When is the National Hockey League, the Stanley Cup final, will start
Saturday.
Oh, it doesn't start till Saturday. So
game 1 of the NBA Finals Thursday night.
Game
2 Sunday night.
Yeah.
And the final starts on Saturday.
So basically all week, you got no playoffs. No
all
playoffs.
week
What am I
you can
supposed
debate about Caitlin Clark, WNBA, not out there protecting the superstar.
So you say that's just how it is and let her go out there?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said it was not a cheap shot.
Okay.
If you call that a flagrant foul, yes, because it's a non-basketball play. But I don't look at that and say, "Oh my gosh, how egregious!" Because
Do you think she's getting roughed up more than normal?
Yes, yeah. But I also think there's an element to that of where the league and even Caitlin Clark is like sitting there and like I don't think she wants to be perceived as soft. And if everyone is out there screaming like "protect Caitlin Clark," that's a cheap shot. Like I don't think that's what the league wants either.
So what's the right answer? See, what does the league do? Because if you keep letting her get, and I do think it was a cheap shot, and we can differ there, and I'm cool with that. But if you keep letting that happen, it will continue to happen. And at some point, your cash cow is going to get hurt and miss a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I firmly believe people are going to stop watching. They're watching because of her, whether you like it or not, man. Whether you're Kennedy Carter or Angel Reese or anybody else, whether you like it or not, people are watching because of her. And if you think this is where we get lost in our bubble sometimes, okay? I'm going to guess that the people in the WNBA bubble are going, yeah, our product is so good. Once people sample it, they're going to see it. Maybe.
You'd like to think that way, but you know that's not going to happen.
Correct.
It's all about Caitlin Clark.
And they need to get outside of their bubble and think broader. And so what do? What is the answer? And I'm not asking anybody to make Caitlin rules like, just coddle her. But what I saw from Kenny Carter can't happen. You can't just have her being blindside shoulder check.
And here's the challenge. If the check did not happen.
Yeah.
Are we even talking about that game today?
No. But okay, we're not 100%. Because nobody gives a damn.
I didn't even have who won that game right this morning.
Right. Nobody cares. And that's your point. Nobody cares. But to say that all publicity is good publicity, at some point are we done? Like if all we're talking about Caitlin Clark is how she's getting fouled and how people are jealous or envious or resentful or whatever words you want to choose to use how people feel about Caitlin Clark. And by the way, I don't think it's unjustified. If these ladies have resentment for some newbie coming to the league and getting all the attention, I don't blame them for it. But what I think is they've got to look at the big picture and say, damn, dude, at some point we're all going to benefit from it. Yeah, we need to hit her during basketball, but she doesn't need to be blindside shoulder checked. That's all I'm saying. Don't treat her with kid gloves. Foul her going to the basket. Play her hard. Talk your bleep at her. But when Kennedy Carter says, besides 3-point shots, what does she bring to the league? Well, she's averaging 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. And you're talking all this mess and you're 12-2-2? All of her numbers are better than yours. She's scoring more than you. She's getting 3 more rebounds and tripling your assists. Don, good morning. You're on the Sports Channel. Hi, Don. Let me do that again.
Morning,
Hello, Don.
Jeff. Good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
When Steph came into the league, nobody was, I'm not going to say nobody, but the 3-point shot wasn't as relevant as it is today, correct? He changed the game.
It was relevant, but he changed the game. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't relevant like it is today.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. He changed the game. Now, the WNBA or these players in the WNBA need to watch Caitlin in her game and see what she's doing. Why are all the eyes on her? Because she's fun to watch. She takes those deep threes. She's an outstanding passer.
Yep.
She can handle the ball. And I'm not going to say she's Steph Curry, but she's that player for the WNBA. Now, if players start mimicking her game and expand the WNBA to something like that, they're going to draw more eyes. Now, I agree with you, and I'd like for JJ if he would define a cheap shot for me, because that was the epitome of a cheap shot. When you hit somebody from the back when they're not looking and they're not expecting it, that's a cheap shot. Now, if the league wants to continue to diminish, or the players diminish Caitlin Clark's presence, so be it. The league will not thrive like it is right now because everybody's watching her. The only thing I like to see is more players like Caitlin Clark, and then I will definitely become a WNBA fan.
Let me ask you this. Hey, John, have you watched any games this year?
The WNBA?
Yeah.
I've watched Caitlin Clark games.
All right.
I haven't watched any others.
You haven't watched any others. So if she can,
Nope.
let's say that would have taken her out and she's out for 2 weeks. Would you watch any games in the next 2 weeks?
No
That's
way.
my point.
It's not a fun watch. I mean, I was skeptical when she was in college, and I heard all the noise about her. And then when the NCAA tournament came on, I started watching her. I was like, yeah, this girl's for real. And she was fun to watch. And I'll continue to watch as long as she's in the WNBA. If there's or somebody else comes along like her. But if she's out, I won't watch. It's just not a fun game to watch.
All right, Don. Appreciate your call. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't think he's alone.
No, but it's also a stigma of women's sports. It's not saying it's not fun. Look, what expectations are you going with to watch a women's sporting event?
I don't know.
So that's a personal opinion.
Right.
Sabrina Ionescu is just as fun playing basketball as Caitlin Clark.
She's really good. Yeah, I like her. Well, I mean, there's a lot of them.
Like, and she shoots far away from the basket. And we saw her at an all-star game with Steph Curry shooting threes.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so I don't know what a cheap shot is. I consider cheap more dirty. Like, that was egregious, but that wasn't like elbow to the face, backhand, going at your neck. You check someone at the floor.
I agree with you. It could have been worse. It's not the worst I've ever seen. I think it's cheap. I think a blindsided, someone's not looking in a play that's not common. Like when do you ever get hit getting an inbound? You may get covered.
Hmm?
When do you ever see someone get physical on an inbounds pass?
Yes, it was intentional.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I've seen Draymond Green kick people in the groin. I've seen him backhand elbows. Like, there's levels to this. And my level is, I don't think that was the dirtiest thing I've seen, but because it's Caitlin Clark, people are screaming.
I agree with you up to a point. I don't think it was the dirtiest thing I've ever seen. I just think it was cheap. And there's levels of cheap shots and dirty shots. And was it worse than some of the stuff? No, hardly. But it crossed my line of my definition of dirty or cheap. And that's fine. I mean, that's the beauty of this conversation. But if she goes out, are you going to watch? And the answer seems to be, yeah, no, I'm done.
And to act like the league is not doing anything, I don't think that's right either. They are showcasing her every chance they can get.
And that's what's making people resentful. I think that's leading to what you're seeing, right? Meanwhile, you're on national TV because of her. So, all right, 505-246-0610 tomorrow. I'll get in on it. Kenny Thomas will be here. I'm going to what Kenny will say. Is that a cheap shot? Kick it with Kenny tomorrow. Jim Rome Show is next. The Herd with Colin Cowards after that. Two Men On is in at 4, and we're back tomorrow morning with award-winning radio. We'll start it at 7 a.m. Be with us then. Adrian, fighting the demons over there. Looks good, though. Big day for you.
Huge day.
Yeah, enjoy it. Be good to each other, please. Be kind, loving, caring, and sharing. See you tomorrow.